Alissa Thibault joins us now from Peace Arch Border Crossing with more. Alissa, cross-border shoppers say they're suddenly facing a new interpretation of the rules.
Yeah, exactly, Sophie. So what we're hearing is that there's no longer any leeway for people who go down to shop during a day trip. Now, those goods that they bring back in will be subject to the 25% tariff. Now, there has always been personal exemptions, certain items, certain amounts that you could bring back, but officially those exemptions don't kick in until you've been out of the country 24 hours. That rule has never really been enforced. What we're hearing is that it will be enforced now. Crossing the border for groceries and fuel has normally been cheaper. Not anymore. And the process is confusing.
They had no idea what they were doing. They didn't know what the system was supposed to be charging.
Jessica Bellick and her husband travelled into the States and back again Tuesday, the day the tariffs came into effect.
When we got to the border, they handed us a yellow slip and asked us to come in. And I said, what is it for? Because there is no taxes or anything on groceries. They're exempt. And they said due to the tariffs.
She says everyone coming into Canada at the Aldergrove border crossing was told to go inside, where border agents initially asked them to go through every item to figure out if it was made in America. Bellick was then given a bill of $295 for the amount of groceries she had.
They then said, okay, you spent $215 American. You are going to pay the tax in Canadian. So then they converted my $215 into $315 Canadian. Then they taxed me on $315 Canadian, 25%. Then they charged me duty. Then they tried to charge me tax on top of the tariff, and that's how they got to the $295.
After challenging the agents, she paid $74. Canada Border Services Agency says a 25% surtax is now in place for all goods coming in, which originate in the US. But there are still questions for people on both sides of the border.
Whether that will be applied consistently, whether that's actually how the tariff is supposed to be applied. There's more questions and confusion.
Where you have a choice, please choose to travel in Canada, choose to buy Canadian.
Bellick says that's not an easy ask for people on tight budgets.
If I had an unlimited budget for groceries, sure, I'll buy everything Canadian, but I don't.
Now, the CBSA declined our request for an interview today, but as you just heard, there is still a lot of confusion on both sides of the border about how this 25% tariff will be implemented at this spot. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Alissa Thibault at the Peace Arch Border Crossing.